Today, Hope Harbor is a family reconciliation organization. That's what I tell people. We take the children, we put them on our campus, we put them in a Christian home because all of our house parents are Christians. They're professionally trained house parents as well. We also enroll them in our on-site accredited academy, and so our teachers help them gain the skills that they have lost or didn't have to kind of get them back up to the grade level where they really belong.
The purpose of Hope Harbor's Academy is to create a bridge from where the students are to where they should be. They come to us and they are often blocked up academically by some of their previous history and their emotional issues. And so they will often come to the Academy 3 to even 5 years behind in grades behind their age level peers. And so our purpose is to advance them and create that bridge and to get them across the bridge to where they are back on track with their learning, and that they are beginning to open up and to love learning again and to begin that journey of being a lifelong learner.
We have an 80-acre campus about 10 miles north of Claremore, Oklahoma. It's a beautiful place. We have cottages there. Each cottage has 4 rooms in it.
Our cottage style care is intentionally chosen to be a teaching model of environment for the kids to better understand the household routines. Our fully trained, background checked, and vetted house parent staff's sole focus is to care for these children.
We have counselors on staff that work with the children, go through their past. We actually have trauma responsive care is what we call it, where we work with the kids. We see what kind of traumas they may have had in the past that brought them to the point where they needed to be away from their family for a while. And then we put them through a 9-level process that we call Growing in Character model, where we start out with level number 1, which is your basic hygiene. We just make sure that the kids are, showering every day or making their bed every day, all the way up through level 9, where they're writing their family story, where they're getting ready to go home and getting excited about going home.
Teens who have chosen to be here and their families, this is a really significant commitment. It's very involved. It takes a lot of work and devotion to each other and to the process, and it's a pretty intensive program, but it's doable, and the ones who make the choice to do that really experience a lot of success and satisfaction at the completion of the program, and even throughout the program itself.
And so when they do graduate from that 9th level, they've graduated from our program and they're ready to go back home. But in the meantime, we have the families, we require the families to come to campus for family counseling as well. And we have a 9-step model for them as well. We call it Intentional Hope, where we get the parents to work on things, we get them to write things, and we get them ready to have their child come back home. And so when both of those levels are reached, the child goes back home, and it's a fantastic reunion.
We are trying to reunify parents and children. Sometimes that is a really difficult process, and so the kids that are here, the teens that are here, are not victims. They're some of the hardest working teenagers that I've ever met, and it takes a lot of courage, it takes a lot of perseverance to face and walk through the difficult stuff that has happened in the past. And it is my honor to be able to sit with them and walk with them through that process and join them as they are working through reconciling with their parents.
We can tell you that 87% of our students do return home after completion of our program. We have students who go back to school and do quite well with a new sense of confidence. One young lady who just left us about 2 years ago is on track to graduate high school a year early. She has become a published author and poet and is very happy.
Recently, the state of Oklahoma has actually cut funding for counseling for at-risk youth. And so people are knocking down our door. They're calling us all the time because there's very few private residential care facilities left in the state of Oklahoma. And so we are being bombarded with calls. And a waiting list is just getting longer and longer. We need to grow, but we don't have a room for the kids. And so we have launched a capital campaign to where we can raise enough money to build cottages. 2, 4, 6, it doesn't really matter. We need to build cottages. We'll get the money, we'll build a cottage, we'll get more money, we'll build another cottage. But that's why we've launched this campaign. We're also going to refurbish the oldest cottage that we have on campus, so that it's a little bit better and more up to date for the kids. Hope Harbor is privately funded. About 67% of our funds come from individual donors. About 17% come from churches, and the rest from grants that we write. But we do not take a penny from the state of Oklahoma nor the federal government.
Just this month, we have received the highest amount of calls inquiring about services that we have ever received in my time here. The need is not going away, but the services are. The state's cutting funding. There's more talk of more cuts coming. These cuts could eliminate all services, and we could be one of the only ones left standing.
We just don't have any room. And yet, if we could build a cottage, it'll be full tomorrow. That's how many kids are on our waiting list. That's how many kids are waiting, how many kids and families are waiting to come to Hope Harbor.
Healing takes time, and the longer it takes for certain students to complete this program means other students are waiting longer to be helped. Time is not on their side. The need to get those students in faster, to be able to serve more students, is becoming higher as services in the state are cut.
The staff at Hope Harbor is fantastic. And the reason is because we know that this is really a ministry. It's not just a job, it is a ministry that God has given to us to seek out the children and help them out. And so they could be anywhere in the world, but they chose Hope Harbor to be a part of. We just have all kinds of people on our staff, but they're there because this is a ministry, and they're doing it because this is what they want to do for Jesus. This is what they want to do for God, and that's what drives them.
Jesus meets me where I am, and he has been so gracious and good to me, and so that's why I just want to meet people where they are, and sometimes that's messy and sometimes it's great, and he just meets me where I am, and so I want to do that with other people as well, and I think that's what reconciliation is all about.
After 14 years here, I can say I love it. I love what we do helping these families. There's nothing like it. It's heartache and joy all rolled up in one. I love how this job allows me to share God's grace. I have to answer that phone every day listening to the possibilities, and in spite of that behavior and what that looks like, in spite of the diagnoses and what those labels are, and I have to look at the possibilities. If this child had the support, if this child had the counseling, if the parents had the assistance to know how to work with this child and understand what that diagnosis means and how they process information and how they emotionally react because of what's happened to them in their past trauma. So I have to answer that phone every day with an ear for God's forgiveness and God's mercy, and if we have a second chance, can they do it with the right supports? I enjoy being able to show God's grace and mercy as a light to them, and to demonstrate that in such a way that makes God visible to those families.